The hum of the studio before airtime was a mixture of nerves, chatter, and the constant shuffle of crew members moving with purpose. A makeup artist made a final touch on Joy Behar's lipstick as a stagehand adjusted the angle of the overhead lights. The red, on-air, light hadn't yet flickered to life, but the audience was already filling the air with applause and laughter as warm-up staff joked and primed them for what was supposed to be another easy segment of The View. At the far end of the table sat Julie Bowen, the charming, quick-witted actress the world had loved for her role on Modern Family. She was dressed in a sleek navy dress, her hair in loose waves, her smile poised but a touch nervous. She had done talk shows for years, but there was something different about this one. It wasn't about promoting a light-hearted sitcom this time. It was about her new project, a foundation centered on promoting balanced learning in schools, something that had sparked unexpected political tension online. She had been briefed before stepping onto the stage. Keep it light, her publicist had said. If Joy brings up politics, pivot back to the charity. Julie had smiled politely at the advice but knew it was useless. Joy Behar didn't pivot. Joy Behar pounced. Whoopi Goldberg leaned toward Julie, giving her a reassuring smile. You'll be fine. Just stay chill. We do a little sparring, but nothing lethal. Julie laughed softly, though her pulse quickened. I've seen your episodes, Whoopi. You say that, but I've also seen the sparks fly. Whoopi grinned. That's what keeps the lights on, sweetheart. The producer's voice echoed from behind the cameras. All right, we're live in 5, 4, 3. The upbeat theme music hit, the audience roared with applause, and the camera panned across the familiar faces of the hosts. Welcome back to The View. Joy Behar's voice boomed with practiced energy. Today, we've got a very special guest, actress, activist, and everyone's favorite mom from Modern Family, Julie Bowen. The audience cheered again, and Julie smiled graciously, waving as the camera caught her from the best angle. Thanks for having me, Joy, Julie said once the applause died down. It's always fun to be here. Joy flashed her trademark grin. Well, that's what they all say, before we start talking. A ripple of laughter moved through the audience, but Julie caught the challenge beneath the humor. The energy shifted ever so slightly, subtle, but unmistakable. At first, the conversation was polite, even charming. Julie spoke about her foundation's work, providing resources to schools to help kids think critically rather than absorb opinions blindly. Whoopi nodded along, clearly intrigued. Sunny Hostin chimed in with questions about curriculum and parental involvement. It was civil, informative, even warm. Then Joy leaned forward, setting her cue cards aside. The air in the studio changed, just a touch tighter. So, Julie, she began casually, you've been pretty outspoken about this whole balanced education thing. But isn't that just another way of saying parents don't want teachers talking about issues they're uncomfortable with? Julie kept her expression composed, though she could feel her spine stiffen. That's not what I'm saying at all, she replied evenly. It's about making sure schools are places for learning, not political battlegrounds. Kids deserve the chance to think freely, to form their own opinions. Joy tilted her head, her tone light but sharp. Okay, but when you say, think freely, it kind of sounds like you're suggesting teachers are forcing beliefs on kids. Are you saying that's happening? The audience went quiet, some leaning forward in their seats. Julie smiled tightly. I'm saying that sometimes we, adults, not just teachers, project our fears and ideologies onto children. I think kids are smart enough to see through that if we give them the tools to. Whoopi nodded approvingly. That's a fair point. But Joy wasn't done. You say you don't want schools to be political, but education has always reflected the times we live in. Civil rights, gender equality, climate change, these are political issues, sure, but they're also real life. Shouldn't kids learn about that? Julie clasped her hands, choosing her words carefully. Of course they should learn about those things. But learning and lecturing are two different things. My concern is when education turns into persuasion. Joy's smile faltered just a bit. Persuasion. That's a strong word. You think teachers are persuading kids now? Julie felt a surge of irritation but kept her tone calm. I think sometimes the adults in the room forget they're supposed to be guides, not prophets. Kids should learn how to think, not what to think. A soft wave of applause rolled through the audience, small, but noticeable. Joy gave a tight laugh. That's a catchy phrase, but let's be real, you're talking about political correctness, aren't you? You think kids are being programmed, to use your word. I didn't use that word, Julie said, her voice clipped now. Well, That's what it sounds like, Joy countered. Julie turned her head slightly, the charm fading from her smile. It sounds that way because you're trying to make it sound that way. The audience reacted, gasps, a few murmurs. Whoopi lifted an eyebrow. Oh boy. Joy leaned back, unfazed. So you don't think there's any danger in kids being shielded from tough truths? Julie shook her head. I think there's a danger in adults turning every issue into a purity test. We've stopped talking to each other. It's all about who's right and who's evil. That's not teaching, that's tribalism. The room fell quiet. The sincerity in her tone struck a chord with some in the audience, but others looked uneasy. Joy smirked, crossing her arms. You sound like you're auditioning for the middle. That's a hard seat to sit in these days. Julie met her gaze directly. It's the only seat where people can actually hear each other. That line landed. The audience clapped again, louder this time. Joy's smile grew tight. Sunny tried to interject, but Joy wasn't letting go. You make it sound so easy. Just talk it out, meet in the middle, everybody gets along. That's a lovely idea, but some things aren't negotiable. There's right and wrong. Julie's eyes flickered with frustration. Sure, Joy, but people don't need you or me to tell them which is which. That's the point. Wow, Joy said, leaning in. So now you're saying people shouldn't have opinions. Julie gave a small incredulous laugh. That's not even close to what I said. Whoopi muttered under her breath, I need popcorn for this. Julie leaned slightly forward, her calm finally breaking. Joy, I came here to talk about education, not to play semantics. You're twisting every word I say into a headline. Joy's tone turned flippant. Hey, you're the one making the headlines, honey. I just read them out loud. Julie stared at her for a moment, something flaring in her eyes, anger mixed with disbelief. You know, Joy, not every conversation has to be a fight. You could actually listen once in a while. The crowd gasped, loud and sharp. Joy blinked, momentarily stunned, then gave a short, defensive laugh. Oh, I am listening. I just disagree. Julie sat back, exhaling, shaking her head slightly. There's a difference between disagreeing and dismissing. The air felt electric now. Even Whoopi looked uneasy. The producer's voice came over the earpieces, muttering for them to wrap it up, but no one moved. Joy forced a smile. You're a passionate lady, Julie. I'll give you that. Julie smiled thinly. And you're predictable. The audience audibly oohed. Joy froze for a second, the jab landing harder than Julie probably intended. The tension was palpable now. Whoopi finally cut in. Okay, we're taking a break before this turns into something for TMZ. The lights dimmed slightly as the commercial music rolled, and the audience started buzzing immediately, half cheering, half whispering. Julie unclipped her mic and set it on the table. Joy tried to offer a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. Guess we gave them something to talk about, Joy said lightly. Julie stood up, calm but visibly done. Yeah, she said quietly, but maybe next time, try talking with people instead of at them. She walked off stage as the crew swarmed, and the red light above the camera flicked off. Joy sat silently, staring after her for a long moment, her jaw tight. Whoopi turned toward her with a faint smirk. Well, Joy, you wanted fireworks. Joy exhaled slowly, muttering, yeah, I just didn't expect her to light the match. Outside, as Julie stepped into the afternoon sunlight, the city buzzed obliviously around her. She pulled out her phone, already seeing the first notifications, clips, tweets, breaking news alerts. She sighed and smiled faintly. The clip went viral before Julie Bowen had even left her car. The interview had aired less than 2 hours ago, and yet already her name was trending on every platform. Julie versus Joy, Modern Family star shuts down The View, Bowen bombshell. Her phone was vibrating non-stop, the notifications spilling across the screen faster than she could clear them. Her publicist, Rachel, was pacing beside her in the living room, laptop open, her tone half panicked and half exhilarated. Julie, this is everywhere. Everywhere. CNN's got it, Fox's got it, BuzzFeed, Variety, even E! News is calling it the moment of the year. You've got people saying you put Joy Behar in her place, others calling you a right-wing sympathizer, and a few saying you should run for Congress. This is chaotic, but also incredible. Julie sat on the couch, a blanket around her shoulders, her expression somewhere between exhaustion and disbelief. I didn't do anything except have an opinion, she said quietly. I wasn't trying to make headlines. I was trying to make a point. Rachel turned the laptop toward her, showing her the trending clip. the exact moment Julie had said, "You could actually listen once in a while." The audience's gasp echoed even now. "It's not what you said, Julie," Rachel said, "it's how you said it. You went toe-to-toe with Joy Behar on her turf and didn't flinch. People love that, but others, well, they're coming for you. The View's fanbase is loyal, and they're mad." Julie took a sip of tea, scrolling through her phone despite Rachel's warning not to. Mentions poured in, some calling her brave, others arrogant. One tweet read, "Finally someone stood up to Joy Behar." Another called her ignorant and dangerous. The duality of fame, applause and outrage in equal measure, was something Julie had lived with for decades, but this felt different. This wasn't about a role she'd played or a red carpet dress. This was about her thoughts, her values, her refusal to play polite when the conversation turned sharp. "I didn't think it would blow up like this," she said softly, half to herself. Rachel laughed wryly. "You never do. That's why it does."